Welcome to the Ecommerce Marketing Podcast, the highly rated digital marketing podcast that provides weekly digital marketing tips and strategies from some of the world's top digital marketers and e-commerce entrepreneurs that will help you take your digital marketing to the next level. Sit back and enjoy this power-packed episode hosted by Arlen Robinson, who is an e-commerce entrepreneur and digital marketing expert with over 20 years of experience.
This message comes from our sponsor, Wix eCommerce, the omni-channel e-commerce platform that enables online stores all over the world to reach new shoppers and sell in integrated sales channels like marketplaces and social media from a single dashboard. Running a Facebook ads by Wix campaign can generate over 1,000% return on ad spend. Go to wix.com/ecommerce today and join hundreds of Wix sellers who already doubled their return on ad spend.
Hey, e-commerce marketing podcast listener. Are you looking to increase traffic and sales to your website? You can do this by launching your own affiliate program. Just visit getosi.com and sign up for a free trial today. That's getosi.com. Now get ready to hear from your e-commerce marketing expert of the week as they drill down to give you details on marketing strategies that can help grow your business.
Welcome back to the E-commerce Marketing Podcast, everyone. I am your host, Arlen Robinson, and today we have a very special guest, Adam Robinson, who was born in Houston, Texas, and graduated from Rice University in 2003 with a bachelor degree in economics. In 2014, he launched Robley Email Marketing after working on Wall Street for 10 years. The business then grew to $5 million in revenue in the first 2 years, and by 2017 was awarded #1 in customer satisfaction across the entire email marketing space. After proving Robley's viability, Adam worked to scale the business. After testing and scraping a few ideas, he and his team launched Get Emails in 2019. And Get Emails, first 12 months, it's grown to $4 million in annual recurring revenue. Adam is now based in Austin, Texas, where he lives with his wife, Helen, and their Chiweenie, Bonnie Rosa. Welcome to the podcast, Adam.
Thanks. We're actually brothers, by the way.
Yes. Fun fact. Yeah. We are brothers. Last name, Robinson. I was going to ask you that before we started recording.
Right.
But, I don't know. Maybe at this point, maybe brothers from another mother. You never know.
Exactly.
There are quite a few Robinsons, though. I don't know if you've come across them a lot. But yeah, there are a lot of Robinsons all over. So I don't know.
We're prolific spreaders, I guess. Right?
Yeah, I guess so. One of these days, I'll have to look more into the history of that family name and, see what's going on with the Robinson lineage. But yeah, it's awesome to have you on. I'm super excited to talk to you today because we've got a hot topic that's never really been covered before in the podcast, which is retargeting email retargeting rather. And
right.
You've kind of developed a unique niche regarding that and around that. And I'm really excited to dig deep and really find out about how, email retargeting works and, how it can benefit e-commerce businesses. But, before we get into all of that, why don't you tell us a little bit more about your background and, specifically how you got into what you do today?
Sure. So unlike, I think, most people in tech, I actually started my career as a credit default swap trader, and I worked at Lehman Brothers, and they made a movie about my job called The Big Short. Right. Even more interesting than that is my first roommates in Manhattan when I showed up, they were starting this website called Vimeo in the apartment that I was living in, just IPO'd. So I was watching these guys, and I had this wild job in the middle of the whole financial meltdown, but the whole time I just wanted to get into this tech stuff. And after the financial crisis, I'd saved up enough money to at least say like, all right, instead of going to business school, I'm going to go try to start a company, like not even really knowing what that meant. And like, as an entrepreneur, I'm sure you can appreciate just retraining my brain to be a guy who like was running a successful tech business was brutal, super expensive, super long road. But Robley is a great little email marketing platform. We actually just sold it in March, and sort of in that journey of trying to differentiate in the email marketing space, which is a very difficult space. There's 150 vendors. There's 2 or 3 dominant ones, and then there's like 147 that are like all doing 3 million or less in revenue, and they're all selling the same stuff, more or less. That's kind of how the structure is. And the guys who win, they have a niche, they have something different about their product, and the market loves it and just takes them to the moon. And Klaviyo is a great example. Best platform for Shopify, as your audience knows.
Yeah.
They have they just nailed that niche. They're right above MailChimp, and it took off. So in trying to figure out how to differentiate, I came across this identity resolution space. And we figured out that like you could look at anonymous indicators in the advertising world that were like for display, and you could daisy chain together a workflow that would basically match that up to real customer profiles. And it was actually compliant to send somebody a plain text email and to have them market to it in the US, which I did not even know after owning an email marketing company for 5 years. I assumed that non-opt-in email marketing was the law. I mean, that's what I thought.
Right.
And it's just not true. It is patently not true. The Can Spam Act says email marketing is opt out, not opt in. It's like, well, why doesn't everybody spam everybody? It's because engagement, deliverability, you'll ruin your ability to send email if you do that. And, we can go in a little later to how well the reason our business is growing so fast. And we just crossed 7 million ARR 18 months in, which when we got 5 employees, which like for a software business, that's crazy. Some e-commerce companies can grow quicker than that, but like for SaaS, it's nuts. It's because we developed this process to where we're giving people unbelievably hot emails. It's emails that were on your website, highly accurate. And then the real magic in the product is we buy a bunch of open and click data, which you can buy in the marketplace. And we only give you a lead if we have a registered open or click event in the last 14 days.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So imagine that. It's people on your website, right? And then it's people that we know are alive and clicking around in the last 2 weeks, right? So like the product works phenomenally well because email is all about recency and targeting, right? So that's the email retargeting part of it. I want to mention one other product real quick before we dig deeper into how it works that we just launched that I think is an even bigger product than that. And like with anybody who's been emailing for a long time, I mean, you, especially with affiliate software, your customers will be like, oh, I know what you're talking about. So the biggest problem in email marketing, in my opinion, is how do I get more emails? The second biggest problem in email marketing is, well, to maintain my deliverability, I need to sunset or I need to take off unengaged people off of my list if they don't open for like 3 or 6 months or whatever. Because if I don't do that, then my open rate slowly goes down over time. And the ISPs don't want to see that. They don't want to see you sending 5% engaged emails. So what do? You got to move half your list to the unengaged. Your open rate goes up to like 20% and everybody's happy with that. But it's a huge pain point because you can't really email these people. And if you do, it's like a 2% open rate. You can hit spam traps. It's a problem. So we have this product called Get Openers, which we take your dormant list, which you're not currently actively contacting, and all that open and click data we're buying, we actually run that your dormant list against all of that data. And in real time, when somebody on that dormant list is clicking another email in our network, we send an event to your ESP and you send an email to them saying, we miss you or whatever. And the open rate's like 30 to 50% because they're already in their cell phone looking at emails. It's sending at the exact right time. And they get back in your active list and you continue to drip to them. That product works incredibly well. So in my opinion, we're solving the 2 biggest problems in email in a way that 99% of people didn't even know was possible before. And the only reason, so like there's reasons people wouldn't do the first product because it's super aggressive, right? Like you're sending, you're saying, I want to grow. There are organizations that are big enough to where they won't take the PR risk of sending non-opt-in email, right? But guys like us, we want to grow. We don't care. Like I'll send an email to someone who is on my website especially if I know it's a hot email and it's alive and stuff, just because I know email's so effective that retargeting somebody through that channel will work, period. But there's people who won't do it. Nobody won't do this Get Openers thing. Everybody wants access to that dormant list. You already have relationships with them. It's opt-in. The product works incredibly well. It's very cost effective. So I'm like so much more bullish on the next 12 months of our growth than I was on the last. Cause like now we have both of these things. It's just the perfect complement to like any emailing program.
Okay.
Especially e-commerce. I mean, e-commerce is our bread and butter because like there's a value to the email address. People are converting the heck out of their emails, you know?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. You know, the one thing that that's always floated around, and it keeps coming up every few years about, okay, you know, technology's advanced so much. We've got text messaging now. We have all the social media platforms. We have these push notifications. People are like, oh, the email is dead. You know, you always see these articles that pop up.
Always.
And it's not the case. It's never farther from the truth that it's not dying.
Everybody listening to this podcast is going to be nodding right now. They're like, no, it's not dead. It's my best channel.
Exactly. That's the bottom line. But yeah, very interesting stuff. And yeah, you had a really interesting kind of career trajectory in your path, how you went from Wall Street on to, you know, founding these companies. You don't see that too often, you know, to make a switch from the financial space to the tech space. So,
I was very lucky that I didn't have to go back there. I'll tell you that much.
Gotcha.
I got a lot of friends who tried and it didn't work for them. So
yeah, that's a tough space. Yeah, there's a lot of changes going on for sure. Well, that's awesome, and thank you for sharing that. And sounds really exciting with what you guys are doing with your companies. But as I mentioned at the top of the episode, what we really want to dig into is really just kind of how all of this works. How do you make the magic happen? How does this email retargeting work, rather?
Sure. So I'm going to just act as though I'm a listener of this podcast and I have a direct to consumer email e-com, or I have a direct consumer e-com business. So I hit Get Email's website. I read the copy. I'm like, I want to grow my email list with people who don't fill out forms. Heck yeah. I believe in this. You literally can just sign up on your own. And then we have this checklist, right? And you just take this pixel, put it on your website, either in Google Tag Manager, WordPress, whatever. And that pixel will monitor your traffic for people that we have cookied. The cookies were going to die at the end of this year. And we were developing a cookieless technology that did something very similar. But it got pushed out 2 more years. So we just stopped focusing on it and started building other stuff that people wanted. So it starts off with users that we have cookied, right? And we're looking for those people. And inside of that cookie, it's got an MD5 email address. That is an encryption language.
Right.
For those who don't know. So that's step one. And the MD5s, it's used to identify people anonymously in the display world so that you can say, so-and-so is on so-and-so website. And like, when they go to this website, we should show them X, Y, Z. So that's what the cookie's for in the first place. What we figured out how to do was if you had every email address in the US, then you could descramble all of these MD5s, because if you have every email and you make them MD5s, you can literally just do a VLOOKUP of the MD5s and then back out what the email is. Email MD5 is a one-way language. So how to make getemails.com gets translated in the same MD5 every time. So what we did was we went out and made business development relationships with all of the lead gen guys in the world. And there's a lot of them, and they're creating a ton of data every single month.
Right.
And we can now get those email addresses that are MD5s and you can't send to, and we can convert them to plain text. So that's step one. And then step two, as I mentioned earlier, we couldn't just hand those over to you, because if we were giving people undeliverable emails that weren't hot and were dead, it would just blow everybody up. So this last filter is we buy all the open and click data we can. And we only give you email addresses that we know have opened or click in the last 14 days. Then what happens is Klaviyo is the most popular platform of people that use our product. You do a one-click integration, and we're sending these email addresses into Klaviyo, where our customers have basically altered their welcome series by basically just changing the subject line of the first email from welcome to our email list to thank you for coming by the site. That person gets sent these, 3-part welcome series / coupon offers or whatever. And then after whatever the welcome series is, just get put right into their newsletter and retargeted over time. And the interesting thing is, the first email prints the most money. The second email prints the second most money. But the long tail of beyond the welcome series is where the majority of the actual profit comes from just retargeting people over and over and over again.
Gotcha.
And that's just marketing 101, right? It takes 7 brand impressions or whatever to get somebody to buy, whatever it is they say. So that's the kind of, it's a pretty simple product. It's just like, we look for this person, we descramble the MD5, we make sure the email is a good email, and we give it to you, and then you market to it.
Interesting stuff. Now, would it be safe to say, are you guys some of the only guys that are doing this? Like, if somebody wanted to do this, could it be done with any other tools, solutions, or resources, or manually?
What was interesting to me about the space when we entered it is there were a few vendors who had gone as far as connecting the MD5s to plain text emails, but that's where it stopped. You got sent a file once a week. You had to you had to do all of the stuff yourself. You had to sign contracts. There was no play. It was just I'm a software guy. Like, it was not a good user experience. The data wasn't useful because it wasn't connected. There are no other vendors who have 75 integrations who do this in real time and have aggregated all of the identity providers out there so it can provide the breadth of data that we do. And there's this weird thing where, like, there's some identity vendors, they're competing with each other, but all of them sell to us.
Gotcha.
So our product ends up being better than everybody else's because we're buying all of the possible data out there.
Gotcha.
And like, our product's really like this hub that just makes all this stuff useful. It's like a middleware, if that makes sense.
I understand. That makes sense. Yeah. I think you're right. As far as, I've seen other vendors that have done some stuff where live chat vendors or other components like that, where they're able to, people that are visiting a website, of course, you can get some demographics and some information, and then they try to scrub some of that information about who that person is, what company are they with, and then you try to capture lead data. So I've seen stuff like that. But with what you guys are doing with gathering the click data really is probably the differentiator, which kind of sets you guys apart. Because that's the main thing. So. That's the main thing. You want to see if that data that you get is the right data. Is it, bad data? And
even more important, is it deliverable?
Yeah,
you'd rather have, and this is a weird thing to say, you'd rather have an inaccurate but directionally correct deliverable email than an accurate undeliverable email. An accurate undeliverable email will mess your world up.
Yeah, very true.
A directionally correct, highly deliverable email, there's probably, maybe there's not the same percentage chance you could convert that person as the actual person, but if it's directionally correct, there's a really good chance you want to take a shot at that guy at the price that we're giving you emails for.
Gotcha. Well, yeah, definitely cool stuff. Now, as far as, we talked a little bit about this earlier about, all of this stuff about, we hear this every few years. Email is a dying channel. No one checks their email anymore.
Yeah, it's nonsense.
And I agree too. Where do you see, like, if you were to, I guess you could say, have a crystal ball, or just from your knowledge in the industry, the next 5-10 years, where do you see all of this going as far as email is concerned? Because there's all of these other platforms and things, but where do you see the evolution of this?
So I think in 5 to 10 years, brands will have to spend a lot more effort creating touch points from everywhere.
Right.
But email will always serve the purpose that it does. It's kind of like, it's a static, not real time thing that almost serves as entertainment for people. It's like they're on the subway or whatever. They just like look through their promotions tab and see if there's any interesting brand that they want to see.
Right.
A text message isn't that. Like, people aren't like scrolling back through their text message. Text message is incredible for you abandoned cart. It's better than email for that, right? Because it just stops you in your tracks. And that's a reason why Attentive or whatever, that company's blowing up, right? Great technology for abandonment type emails. But like, there will I just think that email will always have a place in retargeting. And for nourishment, for building brand value and building brand trust. It's just a channel that does what it does, and no matter what other channels pop up to to engage that you're going to have to be on top of. None of them will replace what email is.
Yeah. Yep. Very, very true. Now, as far as just a kind of question about just kind of how all of this technology works, with this retargeting, email retargeting that you guys are doing, does it work any differently across the various platforms? So let's say, because we have a ton of these different mobile devices now coming up. We have the tablets, iPads, the Kindles, all of that, versus people that are on desktops, laptops, all of that. Is there anything that, with respect to, I guess you could say, the browser across these devices, that would cause you guys to have to do things differently?
So right now, we get about a third of people's US traffic. And the reason we don't get more of that is because Safari and Firefox blocked third-party cookies years ago.
Right.
Chrome was going to, which was going to force us to change the methodology to only slightly differently, actually. It was all going to be based off of activity in the email ecosystem. We were going to take a click that would give us the MD5 to whatever webpage it hit, and then take a fingerprint of the browser, which is a dirty word, and Apple doesn't want you doing this. But we're not getting their information. We're not getting their people anyway. But Chrome, we could continue to do it in the foreseeable future. So, is there tech risk? Like, if you're listening to me, I would be a liar if I said there's absolutely no tech risk. Like, do we have a solution that we were testing and seeing very similar results that is cookieless? For sure. So we will be able to do something very similar to what we're doing well before third-party cookies get deprecated. Right now, it's only picking up people on Chrome, which is mostly on their desktop, some on their phones or whatever. Gotcha. So yeah, it misses some people, but the Chrome audience is so large that we can really, 35% of your traffic is probably a 10x improvement over your pop-up capture, right?
Yeah, so, very true. Very true. And I'm an Apple guy. I'm on a MacBook Pro right now. I've got an app on. I have an iPhone, and I don't use Safari. I've used Chrome from the very beginning. To me, it's just overall, it's just my opinion, it's a better experience. I get better performance over Chrome. And I've just been kind of loyal to it. And from what I've seen, just talking to other people that are even on the Apple's various devices, I see the same type of thing where you have some people that will stick with the Safari if they're not really, I guess you could say, they're not doing a whole lot on the computer. They just are the type of people that kind of take things as they are, as far as what's installed, and just kind of go with it. But yeah, so just from my opinion, I can definitely see why Chrome is really still maintains such, I guess, a hold on the market for now. Well, one of the things I wanted to kind of wrap things up with, based on your experience either with customers that you've dealt with, or anybody in your space, or maybe even your company, if you don't mind sharing some specific examples or use cases of companies that have been successful with this email retargeting, and kind of what are some of the things that they've done or that you guys have done in your company?
Sure. A company, probably the biggest customer, everybody knows them, Warby Parker. They have us on all of their product pages, and they basically, when someone hits a product page, they send a tailored email out that says, "Thanks for coming by the site," has a picture of the product in it. Okay. And they're pulling people back to the site that way.
Gotcha.
So it's a really straightforward, use case. It's super easy to understand because everybody knows that brand. It's like, somebody hits a glasses page, like they capture the info and they send them an email with, picture of the glasses in, and looks real cool, Warby Parker style.
Yeah, the good stuff. Yeah, quick question. I want to kind of throw in, just to be kind of devil's advocate here. Do you, in your experience, speaking with either your customers and the customers of your customers, have you seen any pushback from people that, these days, I think everything is just kind of wide open. People are used to getting marketed to from a lot of channels, but have you ever gotten any pushback from people saying, wow, how did they get my information? I don't remember, subscribing to Warby Parker's list. That's kind of weird.
It's a great question. It's a highly logical question. So the only problem we have ever had, and this is on thousands of paying customers, is when somebody doesn't set up the integration, doesn't set up their welcome flow to go out real time. They collect a bunch of data, they wait a couple weeks, and they send out a batch blast to data that's old.
I see.
So the narrative that I have in my head is it's no longer an infuriating experience to receive an email from a website that you were on 30 seconds ago. You still remember that. You maybe don't remember if you signed up for it or not, but it just doesn't piss you off.
Yeah.
It is an infuriating experience if 2 weeks go by, which is 1,000 years in internet time. I mean, if I asked you what website you were on 2 Thursdays ago, you would have no idea, no idea. Right. So
correct.
If that website blasts you with an email today, you might be like, who are these assholes? You know,
right.
You might hit the spam button. So literally the only problem that we've had is when people don't listen to us, they do that.
I see.
And they get themselves in trouble that way.
Okay. That makes sense. So, yeah. I mean, I can definitely see it. The fact that the email goes out in a timely manner, like soon after they visited the site, it makes sense because obviously they've gone to that site for a reason. They're checking it out. So receiving something from that company, especially if it's something that's, going to be add value to that person, it's not really going to be a surprise, because they obviously it's not like they didn't go to the company's website. They didn't check out the brand. So I see how that all can work. And it's just a matter of being timely with it, for sure. Well, Adam, this has been awesome. You're definitely in a new space here. I think you've kind of really kind of coined almost like a whole little niche in the whole e-marketing world, I guess you could say. And so, wish you guys much success with it because, it sounds like it'd be very popular. I'm actually going to be going back to our marketing team and checking you guys out and seeing if it's definitely something we want to try to do.
You got to check out that Get Openers product too on the for the dormants. I mean, it's incredible to be able to access those people.
Yeah, that seems pretty awesome for sure. Well, great. Well, it's been a pleasure having you on. I know I've learned a lot. Hopefully, our listeners have as well. But I always like to switch things up here. My last question, just to lighten it up a bit and let our audience get to know you a little bit better. If you don't mind sharing one closing fun fact that you think our audience would be interested to know about you.
A fun fact that our audience would be, so I bought a wake surfing boat with one of my friends a month ago. And if you've never done that, it's one of the most fun things in the world. Like surfing behind a boat with no rope and just riding the wave. This is a newfound, it's crazy. Oh, wow. It's a newfound hobby of mine. If you can ever get in a situation where you're doing that, it's just incredibly fun. And it is like what I try to spend a lot of my free time doing. So that's a little fun fact.
Interesting. So wait a minute. I've done the wakeboarding. I'm here in Florida. I've kind of done it all as far as on the water. So this is you're on a wakeboard. You're behind a boat. There's no rope. It's not like
they build the boats now to where they basically tilt up and to the side. Yeah. And they create a wave that you can actually surf up and down without a rope. I see. Gotcha. You're surfing on it rather than getting pulled by the rope and jumping. Okay. The boat moves slower. It's heavier. You fill these ballast things up with water. Yeah. So it's just creating these forces that actually throw up a wave that you can surf on. Okay.
Very interesting.
Crazy, dude. Yeah. Look it up. It's so fun.
I will, because I've tried the whole wakeboarding with the rope, and I've had a hard time. I've crashed and burned, and it seems like that.
So everybody in Austin's doing surfing now instead of wakeboarding because you're only going 10 miles an hour and you literally can't get hurt at that speed. Even if you
that's the thing.
Full speed into the boat, you can't get hurt. Whereas like wakeboarding, you're going so fast that something happens. You're not tied into the board either with wake surfing. Yeah. So like any potential for injury is just like gone. So the sport's taken off.
Gotcha. That's good stuff, man. Yeah, I definitely going to look that up and have to try it here in Florida for sure. I'm sure there's a place I can do it. Well, thank you for sharing that, Adam. It's been awesome talking to you. Awesome having you on. Lastly, before we let you go, if you don't mind letting our audience know the best way for them to get in touch with you if they want to pick your brain anymore about email retargeting.
So if you want to learn about email retargeting, go to getemails.com. We have a resources section. I recorded a ton of videos that explain everything. If you want to contact me personally, just email me, adam@getemails.com.
Got it. That's pretty simple. Great domain name there, getemails.com. We'll be sure to check it out. I'm going to check it out more myself. And thanks again, Adam, for joining us today at the E-commerce Marketing Podcast.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the E-commerce Marketing Podcast. If you've enjoyed this episode, be sure to rate, review, subscribe, and share it with everyone you know. Are you looking to take your digital marketing to the next level but are tired of wading through countless YouTube videos with unproven and untrusted marketing strategies? Well, we have the answer for you. The More Sales Every Month online digital marketing course. In this information-packed course, you will learn effective keyword research, link building, content marketing, and much more to attract and convert your site visitors into paying customers. Just go to moresaleseverymonth.com and sign up today for a low one-time fee. In addition to this power-packed course, if you would like to get access to a growing repository of digital marketing articles, PDFs, and ebooks, check out getosi.com/resources and opt in to get full access to our library of priceless marketing information to help you take your digital marketing to the next level.